Let's bang it on the table for me, please. So much for Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to another webinar here from the National Optometric Foundation, working in collaboration with the National Optometric Association and National Vision. We have a great show for you today. We have an awesome guest speaker, so go ahead and grab your favorite drink and get you some popcorn. We want you to tune in to what she has to present to you tonight. We are trying to educate the community every time that we do these webinars, every third Monday of the month. We're hoping to educate you more so that you can better care for your eyes, your vision, and go see your optometrist for an eye exam. Let me tell you a little bit about who we are. We are the National Optometric Foundation, a nonprofit organization that is the financial arm to the National Optometric Association. And we support the National Optometric Association in various ways. We give scholarships to students who are thinking about going into optometry school to become an optometrist. We support students who are currently in optometry school in various ways. They may need some financial support with exam fees or with equipment and books while they're in school. They may need funds to help them get to our conferences that we have each year so that they can be around other optometrists and learn more by attending those conventions. We also help partner with the National Optometric Association and do eye exams, free eye exams, as we go to different states and different communities at the National Optometric Association convention. This year in 2023, we're going to Fort Lauderdale, and we'll be doing the same before the convention begins, doing free eye exams. And we have partners who come in and support us financially, such as VSP. They'll come in and provide glasses for our patients on those days. And some of the patients can walk away with free glasses on those days so that they can see better. So we want to ask you guys to link with us, follow us on our social media pages. Also on our website, we have the National Optometric Association.com, National Optometric Foundation.com. You can follow us on our website. We are also on Facebook, where you can follow us under the same name, National Optometric Foundation. We're also on YouTube, and we'd like for you to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you'll be connected to these great webinars. This is great information that you can share with your church, your community, your family and friends, so they too can have the education that we're providing to you today on the show there. So we also want to ask you to contribute to us so that we can continue to do the great things that this foundation has been able to do for so many years. Thousands and thousands of dollars have been poured into communities and to optometry students, helping them along the way. And we want to continue to do this work. And we ask you, if you would like to contribute, you can do that tonight. We do have a Cash App, and you can find our Cash App link on our website, or you can also go and Cash App us. Just put in $ protecting the vision, and you can send us some funds so that we can continue to do the great things that we have been allowed to do over the years. We appreciate you. Thank you again for tuning in. And I am going to go ahead and start introducing my special guest speaker for tonight, going to be delivering on the topic, computer eye syndrome. Okay, computer eye syndrome. And many of you are probably saying, what is computer eye syndrome? Well, you just got to hang tight because she's going to break it down for you to understand what it is, who's affected, all of the different symptoms that you may be having, because we are now in a digital world. And right now, a lot of us are using computers, and you may be having some symptoms and you're not sure what may be causing it. Well, tune in tonight because my guest speaker, she's going to unwrap all of that knowledge just for you. All right. So who is the guest speaker? Dr. Ngadi is going to be our guest speaker. She graduated from Xavier University in Louisiana, historically Black college and university, with a Bachelor of Science in Biology degree. And during her time there, she was very active in the Student Government Association, serving on several executive board positions. Her campus involvement resulted in her being the awarded and receiving the Xavier Service Award upon graduation in 2007. And she also went to attend the Great Pennsylvania College of Optometry at Salus University, my alma mater as well. So, and graduated with the class of 2012. At her time there at Salus, she was not just sitting down doing nothing. She was very active in the National Optometric Student Association, and she served the executive board there for the NOSA as well. She continues to be active in her role currently now as a mentor with the National Optometric Association mentor program. She's proud of winning the inaugural edition of Project Foresight at PCO alongside her fellow classmate. She enjoys rigorous ocular disease residency program through the University of Alabama at Omni Eye Services in Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Ngadi now practices at a retail setting in Atlanta at her practice iServe. She has a particular interest in providing superior ocular services to an underserved community, and she puts an emphasis on education in the exam room. That's very important that we do that. And I'm glad that she's doing that as well. In 2019, Dr. Ngadi launched an eyewear in Wally. She's going to tell you more about in Wally Eyewear that she launched there, where she designs frames specifically for Black facial features, keeping that in mind. And she aims to make eyewear a pure joy and help patients make a statement without speaking with in her frames there. She continues to make diversity a priority in the optical industry, and we thank her for that. She's going to continue to do that by creating fashionable options with more inclusive sizings with her frames. And she believes that dreamers shape the world and is dedicated to helping them form clear vision, both what they see, but also what they can imagine. She started clear vision mindset workshops with adolescents and young adults to help them develop their mindsets. A portion of her proceeds from all sales go towards those efforts as well. She remains involved in the Nigerian Youth Alliance, Inc., as a founding member and trustee. Her beloved sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and the Vision Council is where she recently is a committee member of the inaugural project now for Vision Expo East. In her spare time, Dr. Ngadi enjoys reading, cooking, as well as spending time with her family and friends. And I am thrilled to have her on the show. Welcome to the show, Dr. Ngadi. I'm so glad that you're here, and we're looking forward to hearing all of the great things that you're going to unpack tonight when it comes to computer eye syndrome. And don't forget, we want to hear all about those fashionable frames that you got circulating around the US of A. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Dr. Brown, thank you so much for having me on here. I haven't put this hat on in quite some time, so I am super excited to be able to present to you all this evening.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you here. And I just want to thank you because me personally, I have been impacted by your talent and your skills when it comes to your frames. You came and you visited us back in February. We featured you at our office for Black History Month, and our patients were just thrilled to see the amazing, the beautiful frames that you designed, and they were buying them, you know, not even giving it second thought. So thank you so much for putting your talents out there and not keeping those things within to yourself, you know, so that not only can we benefit from them, but our patients can benefit from them as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the platform to do that, Tim, and thank you for the beautiful pictures that we get from your patients all the time. I love seeing them. It's no better compliment to an artist than to see somebody appreciating their work. And so the creative in me adores you for that. And I am just so thrilled and excited, honestly, and honored that you all trusted me to be an optical partner with and Wooly Eye. So I'm really excited about that as well. Thank you.
Absolutely there. And she'll give you more information about her frames. So if you're listening here this evening and you're like, wow, I want to see these frames, I want to get some of these frames. Even if you're not an optometrist, there are ways where you can get these frames. Later in the show, she's going to share her information, and you can follow her on her social media pages as well. And you can get the information so that you too can be filled with joy. All right, let's go ahead and unpack the day. I'm
Tim,
excited. I'm
nobody does it
excited.
better.
I am excited to hear some of the knowledge that you have for our listening audience there. A lot of people are tuning in. Some's going to catch this later. Some are going to share the link with their family and friends. As you talk about computer eye syndrome, because I know that we are in a world now where cell phones, everything is right here on the cell phone for us. Laptops are here. I talked to some patients, they got 3 screens that they're looking at for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. We have nurses coming into the office. That's what they're doing all day on a computer. And they come in sometimes complaining of things. So I know your wisdom that you share tonight is going to be helpful for a wide range of people. And I'm going to let you go ahead and start. Now, can you tell us, Dr. Ngadi, what is computer eye syndrome?
Okay, I'm super excited to get underway with this presentation. As I said, haven't put on the academia hat in quite some time, but it's always fun to educate people in this formal setting as well. I'm trying to have some fun with it also. So we're going to go ahead and start the presentation. Let's start it at the beginning. Yep, right there. That works. And again, thanks to the NOF for what you all do and for creating this platform for us to educate ourselves as colleagues, but also the audience and to any patients that may be listening in. We're going ahead and get underway with computer vision syndrome, also known as computer eye syndrome, digital eye syndrome. So I have you advance me to the next slide, and we're going ahead and start with that. What is it? What is computer eye syndrome? What is computer vision syndrome, digital eye strain? Well, it's an eye and vision related problems that are resulting from, again, prolonged computer use. That includes tablets, e-reader, smartphone devices, long story short. When you're using these devices for a prolonged period of time, they can cause eye, vision, and even body related issues. Essentially, your visual demands are what you have going on, whether it's the 3 screens or just viewing a screen on the move. Your visual demand is exceeded by your actual visual ability. There's a gap there, and that's what causes those issues and those symptoms. People at risk for this computer vision syndrome are individuals who are spending 2 or more continuous hours on a device every day. So who is that? Everybody. Okay. Now that we've established that, though the symptoms can be temporary and they're typically only going to be reduced if you stop using your digital device. So who can stop using their digital device? Okay, nobody. So again, this is an everybody problem. It could cause potentially, though the symptoms typically tend to be temporary, and can be reduced with different treatment options, it could potentially cause continued distance blur vision, meaning that the individual has difficulty going back to viewing distance objects after they've been up close for so long. And the symptoms could also actually continue to worsen with future digital screen use if it's not addressed. So if this is something that you are experiencing it, the sooner that you address it, the better you'll have at correcting it and having those issues be resolved. So we'll advance to the next slide and talk a little bit more about the symptoms. Or I'm sorry, first we're going to talk about who it affects. Everybody, again, as we said, what I went on ahead and did just for transparency purposes is I went on ahead and I posted my Apple device screen use. And this is from this past week. And my daily average was 7 hours and 41 minutes. This is me personally, guys. And guys, this was down 35% from last week. I don't know why it was down. I feel like I was working nonstop, but for some reason, my own personal use was even down 35% from 7 hours and 41 minutes a day average. So this is my personal use, but let's talk about households. The Census Bureau conducts different surveys through the American Community Survey System. And what they found back in 2018 was that 92% of households had some type of computer. And when they talk about computers, they're including desktops, laptops, tablets, smartphones. And we know that an increasing use of the devices with display screens at all ages is beginning to make computer vision syndrome a public health concern. This problem can affect you, not just your eye health, right? But your job performance, what you're able to do at work, your school performance for our children, and your overall quality of life if you're experiencing discomfort with your eyes and just blurred vision and not really being able to operate at your full capacity. So while I was transparent about my own computer use, I really secretly wanted to put my niece on here, my 2-year-old niece with her tablet on here, just to drive home that this is a everybody problem. But I figure my brother might tune in, and I don't have any kids yet. So everybody always says, wait till you have your kids and they definitely going to be on tablets. Guys, nobody can avoid it. The kids can't avoid it. We can't avoid it. We are on devices. This is an everybody problem. This is something that can affect anybody and everybody. And we're seeing it in younger ages just because this is their world. Their world is digital. So let's advance to the next slide now that we've established that definitely this is something that can affect everyone. Some of the symptoms are going to include temporary myopia, which is nearsightedness, or the ability to be able to see up close, but not be able to get far away. The inability to focus clearly on distant objects for a few minutes to a few hours after using computers. Patients will come in and they'll say stuff like, I have to just take a break at the end of the day. Like, sometimes I get a little blurred, even getting to drive home after sitting on the computer for so many hours. So that's one of the symptoms. People can complain of eye strain or eye fatigue. You hear people say stuff like, I feel like my eyelids weighed 100 pounds, like they can't, their eyes are just heavy. They complain of tired eyes, heaviness of the eyelids of the forehead, um, blurred vision for near or far objects, which sometimes comes out as feeling like you're seeing double vision or after images left behind. Of course, there's the dry, irritated, or watery eyes. Patients will say, "Oh my God, I just cry all day. I just cry all day. My eyes just cry, doc." And that's definitely a symptom that can be experienced with, in increased screen use. Um, Increased sensitivity to light or photophobia. And then again, not just your eyes, but it can cause people to experience headaches, neck aches, back aches, muscle spasms from holding their body in awkward positions, trying to see the screen, looking up, looking down, looking all the way, like cranking their neck all the way back just to be able to see the screen. That's definitely attributing to these symptoms of these headaches and these necks, back pains, and spasms, etc. You can also, some of the symptoms also noted are issues with like accommodation, being able to focus in and out, and being able to keep your eyes together and aligned, or vergence functions, including convergence inefficiency, exophoria, lower fusional convergence, decrease in accommodation width. So those are a lot of fancy words to basically say that people have a hard time pulling their eyes together, the two eyes, to work together as a team the way they're supposed to, so that they can perceive things, read things, and have some depth perception. So these are some of the symptoms that are definitely experienced with people who are suffering from computer vision syndrome. So we'll advance to the next slide here. What are the causes? Well, digital screens make your eyes work harder. There's contrast involved when you're looking at a screen. There's glare sometimes depending on the lighting. We have so many refracting surfaces from our screen to our glasses, and you may experience glare if you're not sitting in the proper position. Um, Also, when you're looking at computer screens, the letters are not as precise or sharply defined. So that's another issue that people can experience when they're looking at the computer screen, which makes them feel like they're working harder to be able to see these things as opposed to our traditional paper. on black and white, printed on black and white, that reads from right to left. So those are some of the causes of that. People also have uncorrected vision problems, meaning that they have some kind of refractive error. Most people are not going to be 20/20 with 0/0 in both eyes. Most of us are not going to have perfectly spherical eyes that are the exact right length to avoid having some sort of refractive error. And so, um, even if it's a slight prescription, if you have it and it's uncorrected, this can be causing you to struggle to zoom and try to over focus on your different items on your computer screen. Another thing is the viewing distance that people are having or using from their computer. And there are some recommendations for appropriate, more comfortable viewing distances. But if you're at the wrong angle and maybe you have just a little bit of astigmatism, you turn your head to try to get a view, or you crank your neck back, or maybe you're using a progressive lens where most of your reading power is at the bottom and you got to turn your head up. Those distances and those angles can cause issues as well. When you're on a computer, as opposed to when you're reading a book and it's just sitting in front of you, the way people used to work ways back when. Also, some of the causes of some of these symptoms are the body position and head tilt, which I've already alluded to before, just how we just kind of position ourselves to do work. We made a mass movement to working from home a few years ago, and a lot of people didn't have a desk. I don't know if y'all remember, or if anybody tried to get furniture ordered when we were stuck at home working from home in the pandemic. Some people may not have even had a desk in their houses to work from home, and so you had a lot of people sitting on couches with the computer in their lap trying to complete their work, or putting their computer on their TV tables. And so that wasn't necessarily a proper position or best, if you would, practice for setting up a conducive work environment. And so these are some of the causes that cause the viewing a computer for an extended amount of time to be uncomfortable and ultimately lead to these symptoms that create the computer vision syndrome. So we'll go on ahead and advance to the next slide. So how do you make the diagnosis? Like, how do doctors figure out that, okay, this person is suffering from computer vision syndrome or computer eye syndrome, digital eye strain, digital fatigue, if the person just doesn't just come out and say, oh, hey, I have computer vision syndrome? They're not going to say that. So how do we diagnose that or make the diagnosis of this condition? Well, first, you need a comprehensive eye exam. You need a strong patient history, which is going to include if there are general health issues going on with the patient, what medication somebody may be taking. You may have somebody that's autoimmune taking certain medications that cause them to be, to have or experience dry eye. So that's a part of the patient history, which is a big part of the comprehensive eye exam. A lot of the times you're going to figure out, they always said this in residency, but no truer words have been spoken. If you take a few minutes before you start moving around to ask people, what brings you in today, you'll probably have your answer before, or some possible hypotheses before you even click in to say which is better, one or two. So, getting a strong patient history is a big part of diagnosing this condition. Listening to patients' complaints and concerns is another portion that's going to really help you figure things out. As Tim said, we have nurses coming in that, have moved to different EHRs. We have doctors coming in that have moved to different EHRs, and they got to click into a lot of spots before they can move on and sign those charts. And that's really changed the game. You have people who are looking at 4 monitors at one time spread out, so listening to their complaints and their concerns about what they have going on. And I'll tell this story. It's not necessarily about computers, but I've had a barber come in, and he was getting into those 40s, which causes people to lose the ability to go from far to near. And he was blurred at that intermediate with when he was cutting people's hair, and so he addressed that complaint. We actually came up with glasses for him that would work properly for his work distance. So The only way you're going to get into that is if you get that patient history and you listen to what the person is telling you, not just say, oh, you're 40, so this is what you need. But like, no, he actually needed something very specific. You want to get a good visual acuity, or like, what is the person's best corrected vision? And then you want to get that good refraction. What's the prescription that they have? And when we get refractions as doctors, we're setting it for 20 feet or 40 centimeters from near. So 20 feet is far away, and then 40 centimeters is up close. And that's kind of how we're trained. And so that is the basis, right, of just saying, okay, hey, now we're best corrected to 20/20 far and near. So then that gives you some room to kind of play with, okay, how do we now adjust it with what distance this person needs? You also want to check the way people's eyes are moving together. We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. You want to know, does the person have a hard time bringing their eyes together to see one clear image? And that doesn't necessarily mean that the person has amblyopia or lazy eyes, we said. And it doesn't have to be all the way turned in for that to create a problem fusing an image. There could be a minor eye movement issue that could be contributing to the person not being able to keep that image clear, with both eyes open. You also want to do a thorough slit lamp observation, which is kind of what I'm doing here in this picture. Um, you want to make sure that you're looking at the surface of the person's eye, their cornea, looking at their tear film, checking the back of the eye. Is there anything going on with the eye health that could be contributing, or, can be a part of exacerbating some of these symptoms that come up when you talk about computer vision syndrome. All right, so we're going to go forward here. So, what are our treatment options for computer vision syndrome? Well, first of all, as I said, good prescriptions. So, first, getting that 20/20 far away and up close. What prescription is needed to produce that result? But what we have to understand is that it may be more than one prescription. Um, So also, and I want to mention getting necessary features on the glasses. So do you need an anti-reflective coating? I would say yes. Do you need a blue light filter? Yes, the results are, or the studies are anecdotal, but they work for me. So yeah, I would discuss those kind of options. So getting a good prescription that really corrects you, and the necessary features added on to the glasses, that can really help you to treat these conditions. What I want to drive home too is it may be more than one prescription that is needed for someone's lifestyle. So I kind of think about it like this. You don't wear, Louboutins to go hiking. You don't wear Cole Haans to go to the gym. Some of us don't even wear the same pair of Nikes to go to the gym. Okay. So you might, if you're lifting weights, you might want some flatter shoes. So maybe you wear Vans, or if you're doing cardio, may want a different pair of sneakers that you run better with, or you may want some New Balances, whatever the case is. We don't wear the same shoes to do everything because we need them to perform in different ways. So we can't expect to wear the same pair of glasses to do every single thing that our eyes need to do. Some people can, and that's awesome, but we have to normalize discussing that you may need more than one pair of glasses to achieve your goals, or to achieve optimal vision correction. So curating is my new favorite word. My friends make fun of me talking about curating things, or my words for the year: curate and collaborate and cohorts. I nonstop. That's my favorite word. But a way to treat some of the symptoms that can occur from this is by curating a good workspace with an optimal setup. Your computer location can make a very big difference in your comfort and your digital eye fatigue. And what's recommended is that the computer location be 15 to 20 degrees below eye level, and then about 20 to 28 inches from you. They also make recommendations on how you place your reference material. So for instance, if you're reading something and then there's something on the computer, you want to get that reference material up next to the computer. You don't want to be swinging your head back and forth to look at stuff, because 8 hours of doing that is going to make a difference. That's the neck pain. That's the neck strain right there. You want to make sure that you have your materials side by side, which is good for the, a lot of times people using side by side screens. But if you do have some paper, you want a setup where you can actually clip that paper in so that you can be working without having to swing your head all around or do funny, odd things. You want to further curate this environment by getting some good lighting, good glare control, and blinds or light bulbs. So, we love to have that light behind that computer so that we can be shiny and pretty. We get our ring lights up in position and make sure we got our angles. But, is that helping you when it comes to glare control, or is that causing an additional reflection that's making your eyes have to work even harder to see what you need to see? So all of these small things make a big difference if you're sitting somewhere for 8 hours doing this work. Also, I don't work from home, guys. I'm an optometrist, so I see patients, but I do some work from home. But there's this concept in offices, and even as people set up their workstations at home, that that standing desks are a lot better, and that they help them position themselves appropriately and get the computer screen in the right way as well. So whether you sit or stand, you want to make sure that you're curating a work environment that really doesn't make you do odd positions or swing your head all around or create unnecessary glare from your surfaces. Back in the day, they used to tell people to do rest breaks, where you work for 20 minutes and then you look 20 feet away for 20 seconds, but that may actually need to be longer. We need to take more breaks because we're sitting on these computers nonstop. And half the time, let's be honest, we're not even being that productive because you get so fatigued, it's almost even hard to complete the task. So, take your breaks as needed so that when you're facing the computer, you can be productive. And then you want to blink. So I when I looked up blink, I saw all these memes. I'm sure some come to mind for you guys as well. But blink twice if you need help, guys. With these digital devices, we have just stopped blinking. I think I say blink at least 100 times a day because what happens is I'll sneak behind the phoropter to see, why the person can't see something I think they should be seeing, and they're just staring. The normal blink rate was 18 blinks per minute. And what we found is that when people are on devices, they are blinking like 25% less than the 18 blinks per minute. So that is resulting in people blinking like 7 to 12 times. And so their eye surface is just drying out. So blinking more will definitely help you with this computer vision syndrome. Okay, we're going to advance to the next slide here. So some people, you always have the patient that say, okay, well, I don't want to treat it. I want to prevent it. So if somehow you are listening to this lecture and you have somehow never experienced any of these computer vision syndrome symptoms, okay, if you've never had this dry, watery eye or this neck pain or all these things, then there's still time for you to prevent it, guys. There is still time for you to prevent this. And how do you do that? My favorite word, you curate a good working environment. You create an awesome ergonomic working setup so that you're not swinging your head back and forth or looking in odd, weird angles. You establish good environmental conditions. If you have a huge window in your office, you consider possibly using blinds or adjusting the blinds to get the better lighting. Maybe if you have a fluorescent lighting and you're by yourself, maybe you turn that off or down, and then you put on a smaller light if you're by yourself. You can obviously can't do that if you're sharing office space, but potentially. You could also use the glare protection screens on your computer. You can definitely just establish some good environmental type of things that will help reduce the stress that you're putting on your eyes to be able to complete your visual task. And then you want to make sure that your vision problems are corrected. Again, shout out to the 2020 people or the people who, oh, I don't need glasses, I have perfect vision. We love that for you. But if you are, if you just prophylactically, you can get your eyes checked and determine it. Do you have a small refractive error that maybe it's not causing you issues now, But in a few years, after consistent work on a computer nonstop, or maybe you've changed jobs and your visual demand is higher, whatever the reason is, you can definitely get the light prescription, because even that tiny bit of prescription could potentially help you to reduce any kind of strain that you're putting on your eye. So again, these are prevention tactics for people who are not yet experiencing the computer vision syndrome symptoms. So there's still time for you. All right, we'll advance to the next slide. So there's also just a heavy correlation between computer vision syndrome and dry eye. So I want to talk a little bit about that. How are we doing on time? Are there any questions right now? We're going to definitely take questions at the end, but sometimes what I do, I use the near card stick. And I try to have people kind of I see Dr. Larry Jones. How you doing, Dr. Jones? But sometimes I use the near card stick, and I actually manually take that off of the 4-opter and kind of get the person to simulate things for me. It's not like I do it 20 times a day, but it's definitely something that I have done in the past, and people can give you a really good idea. And then you kind of use also the trial frames. So, a lot of optometrists, we still have that little trial frame kit that maybe is dusty, but I actually start to use that more depending on how specific people get. Not everybody's going to get specific with you, but if somebody does, these are some tools that you can kind of simulate a real life situation with. Okay, well, I'll go into talking about computer vision syndrome with the dry eye now. There was a study done that discussed the effects of long-term computer use on eye dryness, and there were several different parameters that were checked. But for the purposes of this particular lecture, I'm going to speak about how it correlates here with computer vision syndrome. What they noted was that long-term computer use may cause evaporative type dry eye disease. So the parameter that changed the most between the two groups is in the group that they took 30 people that use computers for 8 hours a day and 30 people who use computers for an hour or less a day. And they compared different parameters amongst those groups. And the one that they noticed a significant, statistically significant change in was the T-BUT, or the tear breakup time. And what they noticed was that the persons and the individuals that were using the computers for the 8 hours a day, their tear breakup time was decreased, meaning the tears would just evaporate off of the surface of their eye. And so there's definitely a correlation between computer vision syndrome, people using these computers all day, and their eyes having this evaporative effect where the tears just gone off of the surface of their eye, or the breakup time is quicker than people who don't use computers as long. So we'll advance to the next slide. So let's just talk briefly about the tear film makeup. Our tear film, I always think that one thing that's super fascinating about the eye is that even though there are these, it's such a small space, there are so many parts to it, and it's completely broken down, right? So even talking about the tear film, which you can see because it's microscopic, there's 3 layers to it. Your tear film is going to have a mucus layer, an aqueous water layer, and a lipid layer, which is formed of oils. And evaporative dry eye disease is caused when that lipid layer is unstable. It's not coating the surface of the eye, and so this causes the tear film to be unstable and to evaporate quicker. So again, this is just a useful diagram even for doctors, but then also lay people, just to see that, hey, there's this tear film here, and if there's any part of it missing, then it's going to cause your tear film to be unstable, and it's going to cause you to have some of these symptoms of this redness, dryness, itchy eye, and irritated foreign body syndrome, etc. So let's advance to the next slide. So let's talk just a little bit more about this evaporative dry eye disease. Here in this picture that is up on the slide, you can see something called the meibomian glands. They are vertical to your lash line here. They kind of look like little snakes, or yeah, I call them little snakes. And so those are your meibomian glands. And when you blink, this little kind of muscle twist and some oil squeezes out of those glands and it goes into your tear film. And again, that's what kind of keeps that tear film stabilized. Well, when you have evaporative eye disease, that's not functioning properly. And it could be because those glands are blocked or obstructed. It could also be because the actual oil in that gland is thicker and it can't squeeze out. It's kind of toothpastey like, and it can't squeeze out of that little bitty gland or that hole to go onto your tear film. So where do we see this? We see this, sometimes in contact lens wearers, depending on, the brand and the wearability and then just their environment, etc. We also see this, I didn't list this, but dry eye or evaporative dry eye disease was highly noted in older women postmenopausal, with different hormonal changes, of course. So this is something that we've known for a long time. But now we note and actually know that anything that disrupts blinking can lead to this evaporative dry eye disease. And here we go again with these blinks. Blink once if you need help, blink twice if everything is good, whatever, however you want to look at it. Anything that disrupts blinking can lead to this evaporative dry eye disease. Again, this 18 blinks per minute is what people normally do. But what we know is that when somebody is using a digital device, a computer, a tablet, etc., we do not blink. It drastically reduces our blink rate. And we see that with this extended computer use, which adds into this issue. So let's go to the next slide. So how do we treat meibomian gland dysfunction or evaporative dry eye? How do we treat that? Well, we want to ensure that the glands, the meibomian glands, are actually secreting that oil to keep that tear film stabilized. There are some over-the-counter solutions that I definitely recommend to patients when they're in the office, because they can be very effective if done properly, and they may help to alleviate those symptoms. So there are some over-the-counter lid hygiene products that you can use that will help to get all of that stuff off of your lashes, that kind of go into that eye and block up that gland, things like that. There are warm compresses. I call it like a little eye spa, that you can do in the house. You can get we used to tell people washcloths, but now, they have more sophisticated eye masks that you can heat up for about 10 seconds and they'll stay hot for 10 to 15 minutes. And they just make your eyes feel so good. And you could use those a few times a week. You can also do omega-3 fatty acids, which will help with that consistency to help not have that toothpastey like oil that won't squeeze out of the glands. And you can also use artificial tears that supplement the water layer and the oil layer of your tears. And I definitely encourage these options as first step options. People keep lotion in their desk, so it shouldn't be too hard for them to keep a little bit of dry eye drops, depending. And it's not something that you want to use 30,000 times a day, but you could put a little re-wetting drop in, and it'll help. I tell patients it's like lotion for the eye, and just makes your eyes feel a little bit better. These are definite over-the-counter options that have worked and can work extremely well. So it's definitely a part of our job to recommend them as definitely some first stop options for our patients. We'll go on to the next slide. There are also more aggressive in-office treatments that work, and I will go on ahead and give the disclaimer that I am not personally doing LipiFlow or IPL, though I did include them because they are treatment options that a lot of people offer, particularly some, of our colleagues that are dry eye specialists. They're a lot more advanced in it. They have routines and the setup in their offices. But these are just we have to do our due diligence and mention them. So we have LipiFlow, which is a machine that that they put on your eye, and essentially it warms up your glands, and then the doctor can digitally go in and express those glands and get that any buildup that may be in the glands out of the glands to help them flow better, and then improve again that tear film stability with the better flow of the lipid and the oil. IPL, which is like a light treatment. It's Optolite. They can administer that to the eye in office treatment. It usually takes like a series of treatments for both of these, and they can use this light, the same thing, heat up those glands and kind of express those glands. IPL is also noted for repairing small vessels or broken vessels in the eye that get that red appearance, and also for getting rid of Demodex, or those little bugs, these little bacteria bugs that can live on our eyelids, depending. And then also we have Procara, which is amniotic displacement, which I have done. And basically they take amniotic fluid and they create these ethically FDA approved small tissue grafts that can be administered to the eye to help essentially rejuvenate the eye and help it reestablish some of its older properties and help that tear film be more stable again. So those are 3 in-office treatments, some covered by insurance, some not, that can definitely help a patient to, who needs a little bit more aggressive treatment. Let's advance to the next slide. So these are some of my final tips to improve computer vision syndrome. First of all, get yearly comprehensive eye exams. Talk about your issues and bring specifics. So for the doctor part, we have to be willing to listen and give them that, that chair time, that ear time to actually get out what's going on. But then also, if the doctor asks you what comes in this, what brings you in to see me, you as the patient, you have to say, I'm here because this X, Y, and Z is happening. Again, the more specific you get, the easier it is for somebody to even have a clue on how to start, helping you. Doctors, we have to be open to explaining to people that they may need multiple forms of correction. They have all kinds of glasses, they have computer glasses where you can get a computer prescription at the top, reading glasses at the bottom. They have different advanced lenses. We have to be willing to talk with them about it and also let our opticians talk to them about it. But then patients, you guys have to be willing to understand that, again, your eyes, how often are you using your eyes when you're awake? Okay. So your eyes do different things when you're awake, and you need to be open, and we have to normalize collectively, right? Understanding that you may need more than one prescription. And it may be something simple that we can do, like from a math standpoint, or you may require a little bit more work or intensive work with trying to stimulate the environment, as I talked about with Dr. Jones earlier. So we just have to, y'all, we have to normalize that people may need more than one pair of glasses. We need to normalize taking more breaks. Again, sometimes you're just looking at the screen, nothing's happening. Maybe if you're back in the office, maybe that's the time to take a lap around the office and mind somebody else's business for a little bit. Or if you work from home, maybe you need to take a quick walk, a 5-minute walk. We need to take a little bit more breaks and let our eyes rest from that. And then here goes my favorite word. I definitely was going to use it. We need to curate a conducive work environment so that we're not swinging our head from all over trying to look and view things. We're not tilting our neck all the way back. Our computer's at a good height. It's at a good angle, that we're reducing glare, and we're also able to see clearly and have a great clear image when we're looking at something. We want to blink more. I can't emphasize that enough. So we definitely have to kind of incorporate it into our thought process, because we're always going to be on these screens. We need to consider that. We need to consider in-office dry eye treatments. If the over-the-counter options are not working, there's some really good ones that if you do, they will work. If you do put that work in, they will work for you. So we definitely want to consider those, but not shy away from these in-office dry eye treatments that may be a little bit more aggressive. Again, like sometimes people put a price tag on it, but when you tell them that you can improve their quality of life, and that, we're not asking people to work 2 and 3 hours longer, but we are asking you, hey, how do we make you more comfortable in the 7-8 hours that you're putting in that screen time? How can we make you more comfortable in that time? So if it needs a more aggressive treatment, people probably would be willing to pay if they knew, that they would have a better quality of life. And then less screen time, especially when it comes to kids. Guys, their whole world is on these screens. Like, we can't, I don't know who's going to change that. It's not going to be me. But what I do tell parents is sometimes they say, oh, it's that game, it's their game. But what I do try to share with parents is that they're going to be on these screens, but you can sometimes limit their social activities on the screen. You can sometimes limit like them going from school screen time. I'm at home now, I'm on social media for however many hours. You can limit the screen time. And then as adults too, maybe we don't go to bed with the smartphone right next to our pillow, wake up at 2 a.m. I'm telling on myself, and then stay on the phone for another 30, 45 minutes before we go back to screen, go back to sleep. We can limit how we use these screens and try to be a little bit more responsible in how we're exposing ourselves to this digital world, and reduce our own digital eye strain and fatigue as well. So those are some of my final tips. And now I think the next slide is the question slide. So if there are any additional questions or comments. Oh yeah, the resources. Okay. So we can do that now. Dr. Brown said limit your screen time. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm telling you, you have unpacked so much great information. Wow. I got people on Facebook, just saying, hey, great information, interesting facts that you're laying out. You got people on YouTube talking about this
Oh, that's
information
exciting.
that you're pouring in. And I mean, this is absolutely amazing. I mean, you took it from A all the way to Z. And I think even a caveman can understand what you're saying tonight. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
you
Dr.
know,
Brown.
I do have a friend on Facebook named Lisa Johnson, and she
Mhm.
wanted to know, is it harmful to use her computer in dim lighting? That's one of the questions that came through, and then I'll address another question from Cindy.
Um, so, okay, no, it's not. But you wanna play with the controls to reduce your um any light sensitivity that you have. So I don't know the exact recommendation, so I don't want to say a number and be made out to be a liar, but you want to kind of make them almost comparable.
Right, right, and also, I put on my phone the night mode on my phone as well when I'm doing that as well. So
Yes.
try to adjust your lighting on there. I don't know the exact number either, so
Right.
don't
So I
feel
don't want to be made a liar, but yeah,
bad.
just pull it down just a little bit if you're going to be in a dim room. You don't need this super, super bright computer or phone.
Right now,
What
before
do you
Dr.
think?
Jones' question.
Okay.
Um, there's one from Cindy, and she was talking about breaks. And I just wanted you to just talk briefly about that 20-20-20 rule with
hmm
Cindy, if you could there, because she says she definitely feel like she needs to take more breaks when she's using her computer.
So back when I was in school, which was, I mean, at this point, 11 years ago, it feels like it was yesterday, but it turns out it was 11 years ago. They said 20-20-20. They said you work for 20 minutes and then you look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. But as I was kind of putting a little bit more meat into this presentation, I read places that, I read more than one resource that said that 20 seconds may not be enough time, not with the amount of time that we're actually spending on these computers. And that's kind of why I put that part in there about taking a quick lap around the office. I was joking about minding people's business, but you may need longer than 20 seconds to recover. So what I thought, or this is my personal opinion. This is not something I read. My thought is that, um, oh, actually, I'm sorry. Let me back up. I have a few theories. I think people do 80% of what they need to do in 20% of their day, but I think sometimes we don't necessarily um, space it out. So you may staring at the computer, but you're not being effective because your eyes are tired or your lids are tired. So maybe if you just took a 5 minute lap and then came back when you've had a little bit of rest, that might help as well. But no specifics on the longer time. I just don't think 20 seconds is enough.
Right, especially if you've been on, well, I mean, if you're right there on that computer for the whole 20 minutes, you do need longer than 20 seconds there,
Right.
So I agree with you as well. So you see, there's a question here with Dr. Jones. We are getting into the blue light blocker. Is there Do you see any
We've
benefits from
been saying
that?
it, so we've been saying this for since I graduated in 2012 that the blue light blocker was anecdotal, and nobody subsequently has sent me any literature that confirms with statistically significant numbers that the blue light blocker works. Is truly effective. But I got it on my glasses.
Right,
It
right,
helps me.
because it's
So
not
that's
hurting,
why.
you know?
Yeah. I
Right,
actually, again, it's so anecdotal, but I have had great experiences with the frames that have the blue light blockers in them. So
right.
yes, I like it. I've had really good experiences with it.
We recommend it in our office, especially someone they're on the computers all day, nurses, other
Hmm.
professional students, you know, in school. We definitely put a recommendation on them getting that blue blocker on their glasses for sure. I think it's great to have on them. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything else here. I think you did a great job breaking it down and, you know, talking about having multiple forms of correction. Like we have multiple pairs of shoes. You know, I tell people all the time, it's okay. You know, I was talking to a lady one day. I stepped back in to my optical row and I was talking to a friend and she was in there and she was picking out this frame and that frame and she couldn't make up her mind and she had 5 frames. And I was like, look, if you really like all 5 frames and you can't make up your mind, just get all 5. You know, we have different pairs of shoes. And she ended up buying all 5 pairs of frames there, you know, so that she can have, you know, glasses for different occasions. So it's okay to have different forms of correction. And like you said, as optometrists, we just need to slow it down and do the recommendations to our patients there. Recommend, open up that communication, build that doctor patient relationship there
Right,
so that
right.
patients will feel comfortable not
Hmm.
only just receiving information from us, but also providing information to us, you know,
So that we
as
can
their eye
make good
health.
recommendations. Mhm. And to
Right,
your point, Tim, definitely, I mean, from a style perspective, right?
right.
Yeah, get all 5, but I'm not recommending that we have 100 different refractions and 100 different
No,
frames. It would be too hard
no,
to keep up with. But I am
no.
saying that you could get you some glasses that do one or two different things to help you improve that particular situation. So if you have a whole computer set up, you could get some glasses that work for that computer and leave them
Right,
right there at that desk, and then a different pair that you wear out that is going to be your exercise pair, etc. So, that they can do more than one thing. I do see a
right.
question here from the NOF, which is it okay to work with computers light off and the only light is the computer? And again, I think that's kind of to that question that was also asked, and I wish I could answer it better and more specifically, um, because there was something that I read about this. But I guess the only thing I would say is just reducing the illumination or reducing the oh my god, just reducing the. I'm literally looking at my phone just to be able to say it.
I believe,
Illumination.
yeah, yeah,
Reduce the illumination so that you
yes.
don't have that bright light that's kind of like almost piercing through your eyes. So I wouldn't recommend it highly, but we definitely use computer and devices in the dark. I would reduce the illumination to improve any symptoms you may get from like feeling photophobic or like squinting your eyes or feeling like your eyes are being, strained from that bright light.
I got one more question off of Facebook here with Lisa Johnson. Um, she was asking, do all computer glasses automatically come with the blue blocker on them, or should you request it?
No. So when we say computer glasses, we're talking about, I'm specifically talking about the prescription that's in the glasses. So for some of our friends, um, it can be, well, even me. So I'm not quite into my 40s yet. So I don't need what's considered a progressive lens where we have different prescriptions throughout. But if I did sustained work at a computer, I would absolutely get a prescription that would help me see better at the viewing distance of my computer as well as reading so that I could have two prescriptions in one. So when we're talking about computer glasses, I'm most optometrists, we have to slow it down, as you said, and just make that clear that we're talking about having a prescription that works for a computer distance.
Right,
The blue
right,
light blockers now, they call them computer glasses, But what we're talking about in the professional setting is a prescription that is accounting for the computer distance, which is different from a 20-foot distance far away watching the TV, or even a reading distance that's a bit closer. So I
And
hope
I'm
that answers
sorry,
your questions.
but many of our patients have said the medicine that you put in the glasses. So
Yeah,
that's
well, you
why
know the med. Okay, we're
we
talking about the medicine that you get in your glasses.
So yeah, so that's good. Thank you. Thank you for answering that. I wanted to just grab that last one there. The community really appreciate you for being on with us tonight. I appreciate you. The National Optometric Foundation appreciate you for your time and your knowledge shared with our community. You know, we feel that this is our way to help protect the vision, getting these different topics out there, educating the community. And you did a fantastic job as you went through your outline for computer vision syndrome. They're talking about the symptoms, the causes, the diagnosis, the treatment options, prevention, tying in evaporative eye disease, their dry eye disease, and you know, just talking about different pointers there for our listening audience there. And I thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And now, as we close out, if you could tell people how they can follow you on social media
I
or your
can.
local community, and you see me now? All right,
I
your
can. I
your
can see you.
community, your
Yep.
community, how they can follow you on social media, and then maybe get some pointers with your frame line there that we really
Okay.
appreciate.
Again, Tim, I want to thank you so much, and I want to thank the NOF for creating this platform. I told you, when you first asked me to do it when I was down in Augusta, I was like, "Ooh, I haven't put that hat on in a minute." I am definitely fully in my Amwuli eyewear hat, and so you took me out of my comfort zone, and you also made me kind of look at something that I do discuss frequently throughout my week, and I really appreciate you for doing that. It just, I was like, okay, old girl, you still got it. But I
You got
do,
it.
and I do also appreciate you for allowing me this platform to tell everyone a little bit more about Amwuli Eyewear. So I experienced throughout my lifetime difficulty finding fashionable frames that fit. And I had quite a few patients that would also describe a similar situation where the frames felt too narrow, or the temples weren't long enough, didn't go all the way behind their ears, or the bridges were weird. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to create Amwuli Eyewear, where we design frames specifically with Black facial features in mind. So all of our frames are a little bit wider. We have longer temples, and we have low bridge fit principles that we have incorporated in our designs. We also wanted to make the frames fun, because a lot of times if you do find a frame that can fit you, and maybe in an extended eyewear line, it tends to be this kind of boring gunmetal, and it doesn't really have a lot of spice. And so we wanted to create frames that make a statement without speaking. Amwuli is my middle name. It means joy. So we wanted to make eyewear pure joy. We really wanted to bring that to the community. I saw one of my friends she must be on YouTube, that wanted to know if we were going to bring blue light blocker only. And I wanted to just emphasize that with my Amwuli eyewear, all of them can be made into prescription glasses, though we're selling them as sunglasses on the site. And I just want to invite everybody to follow along at www.amwulieyewear, WULI eyewear.com, or you can follow us on social media at that same handle. Follow this journey. It's an independent eyewear line. It's self-funded, and so as we produce more, as we are able to get a little bit further with the brand, we will be offering all these different things, because obviously I believe that people have different visual needs that could be fit with different optical devices and optical options. So we want to be able to have the blue light blockers. We want to be able to have the readers only. So we'll be adding more. And additionally, as we continue to grow our collection, we'll be collaborating some of those findings. So maybe not as wide frames, maybe a more petite or narrow frame that a person may still need a little bit longer temple, and vice versa. So you'll start to see some of those offerings with Amwuli Eyewear and in our line. So definitely follow our journey, and we appreciate, again, you guys giving us the platform. And also, we're super excited to announce that we will be vendors at the NOA conference in Fort Lauderdale this summer as well. So also, if there's any way we can collaborate to help with those eye exams or anything like that, I'm definitely down for that as well. So it's a really exciting time.
That's awesome. And guys, follow the link to her website is already in the chat, in the comment section there. For those of you who are going to the National Optometric Association convention here in July the 6th, in Fort Lauderdale. She'll be there. So you guys come on, support this great talent that's among us. I'm proud of you, and you keep
Thank
on
you.
climbing. And thank you for confirming that I've taken you out of your comfort zone, because I always teach, if you're in your comfort zone, you're not growing. When you get out of your comfort zone, you're growing. So thank you for stepping out of your comfort zone and sharing with us tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Brown, and thank you to your wife and you guys' beautiful practice. We really appreciate the support. We appreciate what you guys are doing in our community and for our community. So we also want to thank you.
It's my pleasure. I'm going to go ahead and close out the show here. Good guys, thank you for tuning into the show, for listening in, and kudos to our fabulous guest speaker there. She did an amazing job. Show her some love. Give her some comments, guys, telling her how great this information was for you tonight. Share this with your family and friends there. I'm Dr. Timothy Brown, treasurer for the National Optometric Foundation. The National Optometric Foundation is a nonprofit organization here supporting and mentoring young minds, supporting those who are thinking about going to optometry school, being that financial arm for the National Optometric Association. Our current president of the National Optometric Foundation, Dr. Whitehead, and also the National Optometric Association, Dr. Larry Jones. We thank you for your great leadership. We thank our sponsors, our great partners that's given us these giving us the opportunities to provide scholarships. Thank you guys for our donors being there to support the National Optometric Foundation as we try to continue to be that financial arm for the NOA there. And we're going to continue to help advance the visual health of minority communities. And we thank the board members on the National Optometric Foundation. If you want to be a board member, send us a message there. But continue to follow us on our website, www.nationaloptometricfoundation.com. We are on Facebook as well under the same name. If you're going to like our page on Facebook, we would love to be able to have you there with us, and also on our YouTube channel, if you would go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you would like to contribute so that we can continue to do these great things in our community, we would love for you to do so. And we have a Cash App, and that's $Protecting the Vision. And you can find that as well there on the screen for you. And it's also on our website there. This has been a great night. A lot of information here as we talked about computer vision syndrome. Dr. Ngadi, she did a great job unloading this information. I hope that it was impactful for you all. And I hope to see you on our next webinar in May, the third Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night, and I'll see you on our next video.